Hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar session on SAP PPM, Portfolio and Project Management, which will be about the portfolio, how you can consolidate at portfolio level financial and capacity values to your portfolio from your existing ERP installation. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Kilian Ero. I'm a SAP consultant specialized in SAP PPM, from which I'm certified. I'm working for Team Square, which is hosting this webinar. How will this webinar be set up? The length will be around 50 minutes, 40 minutes of which will be the presentation with the demo. I will first start with some PPM basics so you can understand the demo. And if you have any question, you have a dialog box, and do not hesitate to write any question, and at the end of the webinar we will have a Q&A session. So first of all, let me introduce you to Team Square, which is a consulting company specialized in portfolio and project management. We do have more than 20 years of experience on the domain. We are specialized in portfolio and project management, and our goal is to improve it inside organization. In order to do this, we have a full team who have different profiles. We have some senior functional consultants who can help put in place PMOs and raise your project management skill. We can do training, auditing, and we do also have a part with tools, so we do integrate some tools in order to improve portfolio and project management skills. And so we have a partnership with SAP. We do have a consultant certified on SAP PPM, so Portfolio and Project Management, which is the module from SAP to handle your portfolio. And thanks to our partnership, our certified consultant, and our missions, we do have a recognized expertise in the PLM module, Product Lifecycle and Innovation Management, which SAP PPM is a sub-module. Team Square is a French company, and it has a broad national coverage. We have 3 agencies, one in Lyon, one in Paris, and one in south of France, but we do have consultants all around France, and even a few consultants are abroad, having a mission abroad. But our main focus is France. Let me finish this presentation about Team Square by stating a few of our references. I won't go through every one of them. It's just a bunch of our references just to tell you that for many organizations we can improve portfolio and project management skills via methodologies or tools, and we are applying this to big companies or small companies in different areas, and we have been doing it for quite some years, and our references are quite happy with what we are doing. Okay, so let's get into the subject. So we are going to talk about SAP PPM and how you could leverage your already installed SAP investment in ECC, mostly with the financial controlling and PS module. We have had already a session before with the HR and PS module, so you can watch it on our YouTube channel. So a few basics about SAP PPM. With SAP PPM you have 3 ways to interact with your project. At the top level, the portfolio level, you will manage your portfolio, you will select your project and monitor their performances. So this is the top level. This is used by portfolio manager, and information from projects are aggregated at this level so that only the right information useful for portfolio manager are available. Then from the portfolio management, when you have done your selection, you can initiate your project at a tactical level, and you will give them to your project manager, and then at this level they will be able to schedule their project, execute them, do detailed planning, and manage resource allocation and many other things that more on a daily basis. And with that part, it will communicate with your core ERP installation. So if you have human resources or CADs, PS, financial and controlling, you will be able to integrate those data and use them at both portfolio and project management level. So in order to explain a bit more how this can interact, you have what we could call the magic triangle of the project and portfolio module, where you have the portfolio level at the top, where you're going to be able to do your input and budget. You are going to be able to monitor your portfolio on financial and capacity planning, do simulation, reviews, and from this you will communicate with both your operational project and the financial project. So you will be able to communicate, as you can see, from a top-down or a bottom-up way, and at the operational level, what your project manager or resource manager will be doing will impact your portfolio, as we will see during the demos. The same way on the financial level, so the WBS, which is the work breakdown structure, which is the PS to represent project. So PS is project system module from SAP. And with PS, it's an entry to the ERP, because these three levels are synchronized. So your item at portfolio level is synchronized with your operational project, which is synchronized with your PS project. And as you may know, the PS project is an entry to the ERP, as you will be able to use financial, controlling, CADs, and many other modules. I will show you an example of an architecture that could be built around PPM. So it's a pretty basic architecture that could be built. So you have your SAP PPM environment with your portfolio item and project, which are synchronized with your PS project, and you interact with the different SAP modules, being HCM for human capital management, or HR, human resources, which is most known as. From HR you will get the existing resources, and you will be able to get your organization and to staff those resources within your portfolio and project and your project. From the financial and the controlling, you will be able to follow up on actual and planned costs. So you will get a very detailed planning and actual cost follow-up, which will aggregate at the portfolio level. And with the CATs, so the cross-application timesheet, you will be able to follow up an internal cost. So thanks to time reporting, people will time report, and their activities will convert into actual cost, and they will show up again in your portfolio. So this is kind of the idea of how you could leverage your SAP PPM investment. So before I go into the demo, I will give some PPM basics. So portfolio, here I will talk about the portfolio because my main focus today will be the portfolio. First of all, how is the portfolio structure in SAP PPM? So you have a structure which is composed of buckets. you have a bucket hierarchy which represent your portfolio. So and items which will represent anything. Well, mostly it will be project, but it could be ideas, it could be services, it could be. So we will mostly talk about project, but item can represent anything that you can do planning on. And we have then initiatives, which are a set of items which are gathered together, and it could represent a program of projects. So those items are belonging to a bucket. The same for initiative, but an initiative can be cross-bucket. An item only belongs to one bucket, but an initiative can get items from different buckets. I will show you two examples of structure, of basic structures that you could have. First one being one which represents your organization. So let's say you have your department, your division. You can structure your portfolio to represent that organization, because projects belong to departments. If it's easier, you could structure your project by the products you're producing. So you have product category, product groups, and you do split your project between all the groups, and the budget is split between all the groups. So this is for the standard hierarchy where you structure your project, and you have an item which belongs to one of those buckets and which has development cost and revenues. Another thing which can help you to structure your and analyze your portfolio is what is called classification hierarchies. There are additional views of your standard portfolio. So for example, you could have classification hierarchy with markets, and you want to analyze your portfolio both through your standard hierarchy and through market. How does my item help or improve markets? So you can split your financial and capacity values to multiple buckets of the classification hierarchies, and you can have as many hierarchies as you wish. So you can analyze your portfolio through different dimensions. Now I will go into the financial and capacity planning basics for SAP PPM. So how does the magic work? First of all, for the financial planning, it is based on categories, group, and views, which you will define in the customizing. An example would be you will have as category primary costs and secondary costs. Groups are subcategories, so you will have in the first category material costs, both services. And views help you to analyze those costs which have been structured that way through different, so you have the actual cost, you could have planned costs, forecast costs, you could have revenues, budget, so you have to think of what you need to analyze. You could have different forecasts. For the capacity, behavior is exactly the same. A split the capacity between categories and group, and you will follow up this between some views. So you could have management, development categories, and inside of it subcategories as I'm following white collar, blue collar, or here ABAP developer and Java developer. And the views help you to analyze the different costs, like plan cost, actual, forecast again. So there are different ways to feed those views. So for each view, the data can be gathered 4 different ways. So the first way will be to manually enter the data. So you want to do an initial forecast, you will be manually updating values for each categories. We will see all those ways during the demo. So the first way will be manually. A second way will be to integrate data from either the PS project or C project. For example, you are having your actuals in the financial and controlling modules, and you could integrate directly that data to follow up on actuals. Or from the updates from the PM on the project, you could get a live forecast from those updates. Another way to enter data for financial planning is to get data from capacity planning. So an example would be, in your capacity planning you require 10 hours of a Java developer. This could be converted into an amount that you will follow up. So those 8 hours could be 10 euro per hour, and you will have 80 hours in your financial planning. The last way of feeding a view is with custom calculation. You could use a business add-in to enter a formula that suits your needs. So this is at item level, how you can feed the different ways to feed the views, but I will show you those ways during the live demo. At the bucket level, which is your structure, you also have 4 ways to feed the views. Again, you can manually set values. A second way is to roll up values from the below elements. So if you have sub-buckets or items below a bucket, everything will be aggregated at the bucket level, and you will be able to see an aggregated view of the data. Also, from the capacity planning, you can integrate data to financial planning. And the last way is again with custom calculation that you will have chosen, and it will be a small enhancement. So to help you understand what can be done, I will give you a small example of financial flow. Let's just say you have a portfolio which has been structured on your organization, and your buckets have items. The first thing you want to do is to manually input data to this portfolio. So you will do top-down budgeting from the head department to the below buckets, and you will manually input the initial forecasting for each item, and you will be able to do it in a bottom-up way. You could easily reallocate budget from one item to another, so from one bucket to another, and you will be able to follow up on this to track those changes at item level or at bucket level. Once you have agreed that an item should be a real project, so you could initiate and generate the PPM project and the PS project. And with those you could interact and gather data. So the first way would be to transfer the budget that you have been inputting in the portfolio to the PS project. You could get a live forecast from the PM changes. So whenever the PM is doing changes to his schedule, to the resource needs, etc., you could get either the resource demand or resource allocation as a forecast for your a living forecast. So you could compare the initial forecast with the living forecast. And of course, you could follow up actuals, commitment, or forecast data from the PS project from the FICO modules. So that's what I'm going to try to show you during this demo, how you could use both manual automatic flow to simulate your financial flow. So let's get started with the demo. Okay. This is index menu from the SAP NetWeaver Business Client. So this is not the old SAP GUI that some of you might be used to. This is the SAP NetWeaver Business Client, which is an interface that you can use with SAP PPM. So as you can see, the menu could, I have different menus with sub-menus, and depending on my authorization, my menu is different. So here I have all authorization, so I have many applications that I can use. So let me start by going into my portfolio. I will open my portfolio structure. So if I open my portfolio structure, as you can see, I come into a dashboard where I can see the structures, the standard portfolio that I told you about. So I have structured my portfolio on product groups, product categories. As you can see, I have 2 product groups, and I can see how many items, so projects, how many items are inside each bucket. I will open the product 3 bucket, and I will go into items that it contains. So on the bucket I have a few information regarding it, and here I will go into the dashboard for items, which allows me to see quickly a summary of the items that are belonging to that bucket. So here I can see that I have 3 items, and I can see the statuses, the dates. I have a few information regarding statuses, which are very clear because it's icons that are showing up. I have information about the total budget, about the cost, etc. So this is very useful. I have created an item especially for this webinar, so the project for webinar, and I'm going to open it. So here, this is a project that I have initiated, which does not have any data for the moment. I have already initiated the creation of the PS project and the operational project. But let me start by going into the financial and capacity planning that I've been talking about. So I will start with the financial planning. Here I've decided to follow up on 4 views. So the actuals, forecast initial, and item budget. The actuals will be fed up through the ERP, through the financial and controlling module, through PS. So this will be, whenever I have actual costs, it will show up in this view. The forecast will be a living forecast. It will allow me to follow up on the forecast which comes through the project. So whenever my project manager will do will request resources or will move his schedule, it will show up here in the forecast view. I have an initial forecast which will be where I will begin right now. I'm going to enter a few data because I know I have an idea about my project, how much it will cost, and split into a few categories. And then I have my item budget, which is the budget which I will allocate to this item. So let me start by manually entering some data into my view, my forecast initial view. So this view, I'm following up 2 categories of view, so the direct costs and the indirect costs. In direct costs, I have those 3 groups, so subcategories: both services, material, and reimbursement. And what I will be doing is that I will input 100. I know that I will need some material for this project. So I will select it. I can either enter data manually. As you can see, I'm able to enter data manually, but I will use a function here. So here I have different functions. One is a distribution, and I will distribute an amount for this material. So let's just say I need 3,000 euro of material. So I have input 3,000 euro, and it has split this amount between the two trimesters as 1,500 euros. So I have done my first input for material. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save and then input some indirect costs. So I have here two categories, blue collar and white collar. Let's just say that I know I need 10,000 euros of white collar, so I'm going to this time enter it manually and save. So what I've just done is done clearly an initial forecast, which is pretty basic. I've entered some costs, material costs for my project, and I have forecasted that I will be using around 20,000 euros of white collar as indirect cost. So I have a total of 23,000 euros, and let's just say that I'm done with it. Well, I could go further and enter more data, but let's just say that that's all I need for this project. And what I will be doing is I will be copying those values to the budget, because I had a committee just right now and they said that it was okay for me to use those 23,000 euros for this project. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy the previous view thanks to a function, and I will instantiate my budget. So what I'm doing here is I'm copying my initial forecast to the budget view as it has been approved, and voila, I have my 23,000 here. I have 23,000, the same split with 3,000 of material and 20,000 of indirect cost. One of the first iterations that I've shown you during my explanation was I could transfer my budget to the SAP PS module. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got 23,000 euros of budget for this project, and I will transfer it to the SAP PS module. So I just click on the transfer to SAP ERP, and I get that little pop-up here, which gives me information about what have I already transferred and how it's going to be transferred. So I will transfer the budget, because I can transfer both budget and planned cost as forecast. What I will do here is transfer the item budget, because I have approved it, and I will transfer it to PS, so I transfer it. Then it tells me that the data has been transferred, okay, and let's just verify if those 23,000 euros have been correctly sent to the SAP PS. So here I'm closing that window, and I'm opening the TG2331, excuse me, and as you can see on the screen, my project has been initiated with the 23,000 euro of budget. So I have transferred the data from my portfolio to my PS project. So the budget can be seen on this screen as 23,000 euro. So this is the first way to interact financially with the SAP PS module, to transfer the budget that you have written in your portfolio. What I'm going to do now is I'm going into my operational project. So this is the project management part of the SAP PPM module. So I will show you this time I was playing as a portfolio manager who was initiating some data, and now I'm going to be a project manager, and I'm going to play with my project. So my project is pretty basic. It has a few phases, as you can see here. Let's switch into graphic mode. It will be easier for you to see. So my project is a compound of 3 phases. And if I expand it all, below those phases you have some tasks, a few tasks. During my concept study I have 2 tasks which are linked. And after, in the development phase, I have another 2 tasks and a final task. So as you can see, I can see my schedule with a Gantt chart. I'm able to move it along, but that's not the point of this webinar. I will go and show you how I can interact with the portfolio level. So I'm going into resources, and as a project manager for this project, I know that I need an expert. I know that the expert will be working on some of my tasks. So what I will do is I will request an expert to work on those 2 tasks. So I will be selecting the 2 tasks where this expert will be working, which are the second task of the concept study, and then he will be working on the customizing. I assign it, and then I input a few values. So I know I will be needing him 40 hours on the task 2 and 80 hours on the customizing part. So I need an expert for 120 hours on that project. I request an expert. So what I can see here, going back to the expert role general tab, I can see the total demand, which is 120, so the 80 hours on the first task and the 40 hours on the first task and the 80 hours on the second. And I can see that it has been split between the occurring months of the two tasks. I will save this. So those 120 hours that has been requested will show up at portfolio level. But just before seeing this, how it shows up at portfolio level, I will just for the moment I have just requested a resource. I've requested 120 hours. What I'm going to do is I will request the resource manager to staff it with a real person. So I will just start the staffing process. Here what I'm doing is, as a project manager, I'm alerting the resource manager that I need an expert, and he will be able to staff that demand with someone real. So that's what I've done here. I'm going back to my index, and I will go in the application as a resource manager. So here, I'm going into the application as a resource manager. I'm going into the staffing overview. As a resource manager, I can see which are the requirements of the PM and how I can help them by staffing some of my people. So what I will do here is I can see that the project for webinar is requesting for an expert, and that this expert is requested to work 120 hours split on those months, as you can see here. What I will do is I will assign a resource to it. So here I have my resources. I can see who is available, and so I will just staff someone. So here I have staffed that resource to work as an expert for this project. So to say that I'm complete and to alert the project manager that I'm okay, I agree to so that Anna Croft can do that expert role. I will complete the stuffing. Up. And now that demand will disappear from my dashboard. So as you can see, it did disappear. So let's come back to my item, which is at the portfolio level, and let's see how the action of requesting an expert for 120 hours, how did it affect my portfolio item. If I go into the capacity planning, I can see my different views. So I'm following up actual, budget, forecast, and forecast initial as in financial planning, but I could do otherwise. Here you can see as a total into my forecast I have 120, which are the 120 hours that has been requested by the PM. And if I expand it, I can see it's the category project development. And if again I expand it, I can see that a white collar profile has been requested for 120 hours, and I can see the split between the periods. So it's a way for me it's a flow. Whenever a project manager is requesting people or adjusting his schedule, it will show up in the capacity planning. So those 120 hours can be seen here in the forecast, and as you can see, the difference between before and between the initial forecast and the forecast view is that the forecast view is grayed out. I cannot change value as they come through integration. Now, if I go into the financial planning, the first screen that I have shown you, where I was manually inputting data, this time I can still see that I have 23,000 for my budget, for my initial forecast, but I can see values for the forecast view. So those value comes from capacity planning. It has been defined that a rate. So for each hour of a white collar, I've defined a rate, and those 120 hours will convert into an amount. And around, as you can see, it goes into indirect cost, white collar. Around 13,000 of euros have been requested by by the PM. So I can follow up on a living forecast, and I can see how does it compare to what I had initially forecasted. So whenever PM is doing modification on his project, this will show up both on capacity planning and financial planning. So let me now I've shown you how it could interact with your operational project. I will try to show you how you can interact directly with your ERP. So the first thing I have prepared, a voucher. So it's FB0 transaction for those who know it. I'm going to input some costs on the project. So what I've done here is I've input 100 euros into my project. So my project will support the cost of 100 euros of material. I will post this. So it has been posted, and thus actual, I will be able to follow up this document aggregated at my portfolio level. So if I close it, now I can go into the financial planning, and I can see all this posting in the FICO module did impact my financial view. So as you can see, I now have 100 euro into the actual view on July, September. So this actual here is a direct cost, and it is of a type group material. So the cost that I've been inputting into my ERP is directly aggregated to my financial planning into one of the categories. So I can follow up on the cost. So this is so to sum up, so far at the beginning I showed up how you could manually input data. Then I've shown you how when a project manager is doing update to his project, it shows up into both financial and capacity planning. And then whenever you receive an invoice or any FI or CO documents, how it impacts your portfolio. As you can see here, I've got some direct costs which have been put. Another way to follow up on actuals is through time reporting. So as you have seen before, I have staffed my expert role, and I will be inputting some data through the CATS. So in order to do this, I will connect to the time reporting. And what I will do is I will input some hours on a task from the project. So let's just say I input 8 hours of work on the project and I save. So what I've done is I've just recorded 8 hours spent on one of the tasks of the project. So I can show you. So whenever you've done some time reporting, first it's only hours, and then you can transfer those hours to the CO module, so you can convert them into amounts. So for the moment it's only 8 hours, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this data into an amount, and for this I will use the CATA transaction, which is transferring time CATS hours to the CO module. So I will just transfer it quickly. Up. Let's just run it. So what I'm doing here is those 8 hours, I want to transfer them into amounts and transfer them to controlling. So that's what I have done now, and I will be able to follow up on those hours into my project. So here, if I come back to my project, I can go into the capacity planning, and I will be able to see the 8 hours as actual hours recorded on my project. So as you can see here, I have values in both forecast and actual. So the forecast value came from the operational project, and the actual value came from the CATS transfer, the CATS recording that has been done. So I have my 8 hours in actual, and if I display, I can see it's of type project development, and it's a white collar profile. So you can follow up depending on the activity type or anything where you want the cost to be, in which category and group you want the cost to be shown. Also, those 8 hours, as I've transferred them to controlling, can be seen into my financial planning. And so instead of having only 100 euros of actual cost, now I have 800. And if I display the split, I will see that I have 100 euros of direct costs, which was the material from the invoice, and I have now 700 euros from indirect cost, white collar. So what we have seen here is how you could get actual from both any document, any FI or CO documents, or from directly time reporting. So as you can see, whenever I'm doing things in the ERP or in the operational project, changes will be recorded at my portfolio level, and I'm able to compare it with my other view, be it one coming from the operational project, one being manual, or one being from the ERP. What you can do also to have some graphs, some charts that can actually show you graphically what you're using in this table. So here it's a graphic for my item which compare the actual, the forecast, and the initial forecast. So it gets the data from the table, and then you can see in a chart displaying what has been recorded inside the item. So this is one easy way to follow up and to follow up on your item. So as a portfolio manager, you initiate your item, you manually input a few data, then you validate it. You validate the budget that you can transfer to the ERP. Then you create the operational project, and the project manager use it, and it will feed the forecast so you can monitor your forecasts live. And then whenever actuals are input on your project, be it through documents or through time reporting, you will be able to see it. So this is for this chart. If so, I've shown you the way to take advantage of PPM and your ERP at the item level. Now I will just come back to my bucket where my item belongs to. So this is the initial dashboard that I had opened earlier during the session, and here you can see that it hasn't been updated yet. My project is still has still zero budget, zero plan costs, and zero actual costs. But here, if I click on the refresh button, as you can see, the values have been updated, and I'm able to see the values. At the bucket level, I have also the opportunity to do financial and capacity planning. So this is, let's go into financial planning. This is very interesting for me because the actual aggregated from those from the item that belongs to my project. Bucket budget is something that I do manually. I will input a bucket budget, a limit that I can spend for this bucket, and I can compare it to the item budget, which is what I have manually input into items. So I can compare if I'm inside my border limits or if I'm spending too much. So at bucket level, I'm able to monitor my portfolio clearly. Here I can expand, and as you can see, the same way as I did in item, my costs, I can follow them up through categories and groups, the same categories and groups. For example, actuals come from the aggregated values from the items. The bucket budget is manual. And here I don't have any information about which project is spending what, but I have a failure here which is include sub-object, which will allow me to track which project amounts to which. So if I include sub-object here, I can see that, for example, in actual, for my direct cost of type material, my project for webinar cost 100 euro on July to September. So I'm able to track exactly which project amounts to what and when. So it's aggregated at a level that is greater than the item level. So this is the bucket level. I also have charts that I can use here to, instead of using the table, I can have the same kind of graph in order to compare what I've been following up, my actual, my forecast, my budget. You could have other views, other forecast view. You could have your revenues, so you are able to monitor everything at a portfolio level. So here at a bucket level. Also, let's just come back to my portfolio structure from the beginning. And let's just show it all. Let's just say I am a portfolio manager for 2 buckets, and I need to compare their performances. And very easily, you can select 2 or more buckets here and use the reporting feature here, which will show me a reporting regarding capacity of financial values. So here I am able to see my two buckets, their actual and planned cost, and I can see in the below part for each one of them how is split the amount distribution per view. So for each product I can see how it is impacted by any cost. So at the portfolio level, at bucket level, I'm able to see a lot of reporting, and I can also input data in financial or capacity planning. And I can use what has been aggregated already at the item level. So let's just wrap up this session regarding a little bit of summary. So I'm going to use the magic triangles that I've shown you at the beginning of the webinar. So as you can see at the portfolio level, I will be able to enter data manually, to do my budget input, to do some financial and capacity planning. This budget that I have been put, I can transfer it to my PS project. I'm also able to gather data from my operational project. Whenever a project manager will be scheduling or planning resources for his project, this demand or allocation will be transferred to my portfolio level, so that I can I'm able to see the impact of what the project managers are doing. I can also, as you have seen from the time reporting and from actuals that are coming on my PS project, I can follow them up on my at portfolio level. So the idea here is to get data from the other modules and to aggregate them at portfolio level, and to be able to play with them, to monitor them, and to have some reporting abilities. What I haven't shown, but you can see on the screen here, is that at portfolio level you can also play with it, do simulation, do selection, do reviews. At the operational level, I haven't shown it because it's not the subject, but you can do your project scheduling, resource planning, also simulations. You could you operate your project on a daily basis. And at the financial level, of course, you can do detailed forecast, you can commit, you can do actual and budget, and time tracking. So let's get into the Q&A session. So don't hesitate to ask questions, and I will try to answer them. Okay, so let me check the question now. So I have a few questions already in. So I have a question regarding resource assignment. The question is, for a large organization, can we use generic resource instead of named resources and let the real assignment be done later in the process? So of course you can set up generic resources which you will be able to staff and then later replace them by real resources. But the way the staffing is done in SAP PPM, you could request, as I've shown you, I could request an expert profile of, I request an amount of hours from an expert profile, and then whenever I'm ready and whenever the resource manager is ready, in a second time, he will go through the workflow to staff the role with a real person. So I can have directly the demand at my portfolio without even going into staffing. Another question, someone is interested in authorization. So can I authorize only some people to make changes to financial or capacity views? Can I choose which views people are supposed to see? The answer is yes, you can. As you might know, SAP is very known for its authorization process. And if you need that only some budget manager or some authorized people can change the budget inputs, so be it. It's feasible. You can enhance your solution and restrict access to the views. Another question on the financial values. Can you see who updated manual values? The answer is yes. You can activate a switch which will allow you to track who has been doing which modification, what amount, and when. So yes, you can track whom has done the modification. So another question on financial planning, can we set up a workflow for budget validation? So as I've seen during my demo here, I just copy-paste value for my initial forecast, but we can imagine, we can set up a workflow where the budget view will be grayed out, and whenever you validate one decision point of your project, you could copy automatically some values from a view to the budget view. Yes, it's entirely possible. Another question is regarding subject of webinar. Is what if subject to a next webinar? So this is a good question because our next SAP PPM webinar, the next webinar in the SAP PPM series will be about the portfolio and project simulation. So what if simulation, it will be about how you can simulate your portfolio, you can review it, do selection, so you will be invited and you will be able to attend and see the portfolio simulation, review what if capabilities. Another question, is it possible to use the portfolio feature directly without having both PS and the project management feature? So I'm not sure to understand. Yes, is it possible? So is it possible to use the portfolio feature directly without having the project management feature? If you mean using the portfolio feature without the project management part but directly via PS, yes, it's possible to use ECC data that you are maintaining through PS and connect it to your portfolio, but you would lose then the automatic forecast from the operational project. But yes, it's possible. Another question regarding financial views is how to track budget supplements. So if you have validated, you could also put a workflow in place to track budget supplement. As I said earlier in an example, you can set up a workflow for your budget, but you could set up a workflow for budget demand, let's say, and then you will be able to enter some values and ask for validation. So if you think of something like budget supplement, you can put in place something to track this down. So if you have any other question or else, as we are going, we have finished our session. Okay, so let me thank you for attending this webinar. If you have further questions, do not hesitate to go through our website. We already have some webinars that have been recorded, so you can go through our website and go into the webinar part. You will be able to find resources material about SAP PPM and also other tools. And do not hesitate to contact us if you have any question regarding SAP PPM. And be sure to attend our next webinar on the simulation capabilities of SAP PPM. But because just right now we just saw how you could aggregate data from your ERP installation. Anyways, thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.